today we are going to study this GitHub repository's system design primer together. First of all, I'm going to walk through the index of system design topics first to know what kind of things we are going to learn. First of all, I'm going to walk through this diagram, the first. There's a starting point of the client, which is the user perspective. And the user, first of all, when you write some host name in this browser, then we need to find the IP address. In order to find the IP address, we need to access the DNS first. Afterwards, the client, when client wants to read some data content such as video to quickly load from the system, the client can access the CDN. The CDN read the data from the object store. And the other thing that we need to consider is when client wants to access the API to read, write, and search some data through the API, then for the scalability perspective, the client connect to the load balancer, and load balancer connect to the web server and the API gateway, etc. Then this the API gateway route to read, write, or search the API. Per each the microservices, then what you can try is, so for the read API, then there's some, let's assume that we have a timeline service, and then in order to quickly read, then first of all check the memory cache, otherwise or read the replicas, the database of the SQL, the SQL database. And also, in the meantime, when you write some data, you use the write API, and then there's some, let's assume that we have some fan out service, and also this write API is the write the data into object store as well. And also, in the meantime, write API can write the data to the SQL DB to store such as something like the metadata. And there's the SQL, the database has a master slide mode, and then you can try. In the meantime, when you write the data, then also you write you replicate the data to the replica for the SQL. And also, in the meantime, also memory cache, you need to update as well for quickly reading the data from the read API. And write API and also final service can call the user graph service, search service, and the notification service. And in order for search API to search and something like that. So let's go back to each of the index first. First, we are going to learn system design topics, and we are going to review scalability system, and also what is the difference between performance versus and the scalability. And next, latency versus throughput, availability versus consistency. Then you are going to check the CAP theorem. The CP means that consistency and partition tolerance. AP means that availability and partition tolerance. We can choose just two of them. And there's no CAP theorem. All of the CAP are able to be satisfied. Consistency patterns is there are some weak consistency, eventual consistency, strong consistency. And availability pattern from the CAP theorem is failover, replication, and availability in numbers. And also DNS we are going to learn, and CDN, which is the content delivery network. There are some push CDN and pull CDN. And load balance, there is a ways of the load balancing mechanism. Active, passive, active, active, layer forward, load balancing, layer forward, load balance, 7 load balancing, horizontal scaling. And also reverse proxy, then load balancer versus reverse proxy that we are going to check. Application layer, microservices, service discovery. And database, there are several types of databases, and RDB and NoSQL. And RDB has some master slave replication, master replication, federation, sharding, denormalization, SQL tuning. The NoSQL, when we use the NoSQL is when you need some key value store, documentation store, document store, wide column store, graph database. Then we choose the NoSQL. So we are going to be able to select the between SQL and the NoSQL. And caching, there's a client caching, CDN caching, web server side caching, database side caching, application caching, and also caching at DB query level, caching at object level. So when you can update the caching, cache aside the Y through the Y behind the right bed, refresh your head. And asynchronous mechanism. So there is some asynchronous solution such as the message queue, task queue, and the back pressure. And for the communication, for the data perspective, we can choose the TCP protocol and the UDP, RPC, REST. And security, that is also important, very important area. Appendix and powers of two table, latency numbers, every programmer should know. Additional system design interview process, and then real world architecture, company engineering block under deployment under development for this repository, and then correct and etc. So next time you are going to start from the first agenda for the system design topics, and see you later.